Okay, sexuality and paganism. Um, Basically, if you go into any sort of pagan community, expect that the people there are going to be much more comfortable with themselves, with their sexuality, and also with imparting their love and kindness with you. Now, you may come from a monotheistic belief system where you are very closeted, where you feel uncomfortable. And I would suggest if you are going to explore a religious path, find another person who's an explorer and do it with them. Go with somebody. Be protected if you're going into situations that could or could not be nefarious. The most important thing you should do is pray to the divine. Pray for what opportunities you should do. Maybe do divinations if you don't receive that direct connection with deity yet. But it is there. You just have to strive for it. And as you honor deity every day, those beautiful experiences will be drawn into your life. True love and financial wealth, everything that you desire will be drawn in. And sometimes the things that you pray for are not going to have what you view to be a magical result. But then if you look deeper and you say, well, was that need met within a reasonable time frame? And if the answer is yes, then there is magic behind the scenes. There are angels who watch over you. They watch over me. One caught my car and saved me from dying, and I will share that experience in another video. Now, when you're moving on to sexuality, be very, very careful if you decide to not be a solitary worshiper of a god and goddess, or pagan in any way, or in a classification that would largely put you into that category. Pagan simply means country folk or country dweller. Anyone who lives out in the country is technically a pagan according to the dictionary definition. The common usage is somebody who practices magic, who believes in the old ways. And I believe the old ways hold power today. In fact, I know they do. So if you're venturing outside because you feel like you need other people you can relate with, be very careful and listen to your intuition. When you're with somebody, when you're talking to them, if there's anything that seems a little bit slimy about a person or about a location, I would suggest, if you are a person of light, to not go back to that place, not align yourself with people who may want to take advantage of you because of your naivete in that particular situation. Now, before you get involved with anyone sexually, and this should be for spiritual purposes, not for physical, that you will have that physical added benefit, but your primary concern when expressing something on an emotional, sexual, physical, sensual level is not about the chemical release that will happen naturally. It's not about the other person, because you love them completely. They're participating in this, so in a large part, they're joined with you. But the thing is, you're just like a line. You don't have the third part of the pyramid, the strongest symbol, the strongest way when you're constructing a building. That top is the divine. If you want to reach that, you first have to believe in it or open yourself up to the possibility. Say you're atheist. Try to consider becoming agnostic. Why? There's enough people who use it and say it works. So if there's enough people saying, hey, this works, there might be some truth in it. So if you're an LGBT person, you feel rejected by Christianity, therefore you reject Christ. However, if you look at the words of Christ, that specific section where it's only his words from Matthew, Luke, Mark, and John, and you don't look at what comes after in Acts and all of that with Paul, and you don't look at anything that was before, because that was fulfilled in Christ if you originally were Christian, you'll come to realize that people can worship a number of deities. There's Apollo, he's a bisexual deity. There's gay deities. If you read Gay Witchcraft by Chris Penzak, you'll see that throughout time there's been a lot of bisexual and gay deities, and there is a belief that because they're more sensitive, they have a greater connection to the divine than somebody who is heterosexual. In fact, they were largely viewed in shamanistic societies in Neolithic times and right around that time period as being more connected with the divine because of the fact that they just had more time to do it. They weren't concerned as much about, child rearing, but more about the betterment of the clan. So never feel ashamed that you're gay or bisexual. You are, in fact, closer to the divine than heterosexuals in many people's minds. Now, transsexuals are the two-spirited people, and they have a connection on the gender level that people who are gender binary don't. However, because you have free will, you can manipulate your gender anytime you want. But whether or not it feels natural, whether or not it feels innate, that's what you need to think about. I have an androgynous appearance, but this is for spiritual purposes. This is because I'm a Leo, I'm a fire sign, I'm powerful. I use this to connect with the divine and my fire sign because I'm a fire symbol. You too have a zodiac sign and symbol. Study that out. See if it resonates with you. My zodiac sign and being a Leo completely resonates with me. Completely. Like, I'm a picture-perfect Leo. And I think that we need to contemplate how we want to represent ourselves on the outside of who we are on the inside. This is a citrine crystal. It gives me energy. It amplifies a lot of beautiful things in my life. It draws in prosperity and energy into my life, and it amplifies my abilities. This silver keeps away spirits, but because I'm a cat sign, evil spirits are automatically deterred from me. But for other people of different signs, it may be smart to keep silver on you. Many people use a pentagram or a pentacle, to protect themselves, which is simply just a star. And that protection, and energy sending is by pointing. Energy receiving is by putting your hand back. Those are a few basics to do with paganism. All you need to be pagan is to use your finger. This is your wand. The fire is in your spirit, in your body, and the water is also inside you. People don't need to have a lot of tools, and Astra thru is really practical on that. This is my Thor's hammer. It's for protection. It's known as Hammer of the God, or it's a protective symbol that my ancestors, the Nordic people, the people in Prussia and in that time period, would use that. And those people that were in that Viking culture, that early German culture, believed in the power of runes. And when you're studying magic, I would suggest finding books that resonate with you and learning. To be a wizard is not an easy thing. Both societally and internally, it requires a lot of mental devotion. So if that isn't your path, try to do the simplest things you can do to connect with the divine that you have time for. So when you are having a sexual experience, make sure that you know that energy that is released is some of the most powerful magic ever. You can use that energy to bind you to another person. You can use that energy to amplify your chakras. There's a lot of medicinal benefits as well but because I'm not a doctor, I would talk to your medical professional and ask him about masturbation and ask him about the release of energy and when is it healthy, how often, things like that. If you want to look at it from a scientific level, endorphins are released, opiates are released, pain relieving abilities are released, and that magic, that beautiful magic inside you is precious, and it can be shared to create life, to create love, to create a connection with the divine. Any sexual action that comes from a place of love and comes from a place of pure intent with consenting individuals, or you consent with yourself, can connect you with the divine. I knew this at age 11. I knew this at age 12. At age 13, when I was introduced to monotheism and their corrupt views on sexuality being bad or wrong, or that you should stay away from it, I realized they were just wrong. They were uneducated. They didn't understand. And science has verified that, that sexuality can be healthy if it's a safer sex, or you have two partners who are monogamous that are tested together and then are tested again after the latency period, which is 4 to 6 months. And if you have two test results that are clean, then you are going to be a lot more likely to be safe in situations in paganism where sexuality is a lot more free-flowing. And I would encourage you to be very careful. Don't take alcohol when you're out and about with people you don't know. Don't go without friends. and make sure that you put yourself in situations where you're not under the influence, so you can have all your wits about you to see spiritually who you should be aligned with. And I hope that these videos on sexuality help. Feel free to message me if you have any questions, and whatever you do, look for the truth beyond and behind all truths, and try to connect with that spiritual energy, the divine energy, the solar and galactic energy, and that will bring you great joy in your relationships and with yourself.